It's Sunday after church and the little man has just arrived to install the clutch master bracket that he painted yesterday evening. Now this is kind of a homely piece, but it's functional, much like myself. So we're going to install that. Little man can't hang around too much today. He's got somewhere to go. But we are going to install this so that while he's gone I can work on some other stuff, like making the line between the master and the slave look better. Oh, and running some brake lines and stuff such as that. Alright, he's got the bracket securely attached, and now we got to install the master, or at least get it up there so I can figure out how to do the little line, steel line between it. I'm suffering though. My right shoulder is killing me, and I don't know why. I didn't do nothing. Old age, I reckon. You just wait. Better take care of your body. Don't do like me. Think you're tough and can do all this stuff. You pay for it when you get old. I didn't listen when people told me that when I was young. You should listen. Listen to me. Break the cycle, son. For the love of God, break the cycle. Okay. Alright, after I spent a few minutes stumbling around looking for my camera again, what are you doing with that?
Just playing around.
Seeing where you've been? That's what a mirror's good for. See where you've been. But you know what? You always got to keep looking where you're going. Alright. Redneck philosophy is over for the day. Here's what we got to do. We got way too much line because, and it's a regular. Don't wiggle it around. I'm trying to video it here, pal. Help me help you, okay? Okay. In its original configuration, that master was mounted up on the firewall somewhere like so, and we're mounting it down low, which means we got too much line. So what I'm going to do is take that tubing cutter right there, cut it, and I'm going to use this 1/4 inch compression fitting, which I just happen to have laying around, and I'm going to hook it back up, and that's going to make the lines look more tidy, which we need to do to make up for that ugly bracket right there, don't you imagine?
Well, it's not that ugly now that I painted it.
Well, that's true. You did make it look a lot better. Alright. That's quite a display of dexterity there. And now we've got the line modified appropriately, and he's tightening up the bolts on the master. I predict he'll have to do something different right there, but we'll let him figure it out. Alright. He finished drilling the hole through there, but he did exactly what I cautioned him against. But it's apt to happen the first time. You don't have the feel for it, you'll break them little drill bits off. Isn't that right, bud?
Yeah, why don't we just use something like this?
Because we can't have a hole, a 3/8 hole in a 1/2 inch bolt.
That's true.
You gotta have a little hole in a 1/2 inch bolt so you can put a cotter key in it. And here's the thing about breaking drill bits. If you got 10 more holes to drill and you break your drill bit on the first hole, what does that mean? You gotta go buy another drill bit before you can drill them other 9 holes. And you only want to buy 1, not 10 drill bits. So, it just takes a little feel. You got to get the hang of it. A little practice. It's okay. That's what Dad's thick wallets are for. Alright. As the young man is demonstrating, or at least was till I brought the camera over, it's going to work the clutch, which is what we were shooting for. So, that's a success. Alright. Let's move on to something else. I'm not going to bend the cotter key because I'm going to have to take this stuff back apart probably at some point.
And there's no strings.
There's what?
No strings to pull it. working.
Yeah. He's referring to his buddy's go-kart. You have to pull a string to work the throttle. Which we might do a go-kart here soon. I don't know. You know, that's another thought I've had recently. I have, for the past some years, put a lot of effort into this YouTube stuff. And the older two are about growed up. And this little guy's got some other interests besides this stuff, which I happen to have other interests too, so we might back off just a little bit, do some of that other stuff. And he likes fishing. I've never been much of a fisherman. I'll do it. I like it, but I just haven't. But you know, stuff like that. Stuff like that. And some other stuff. One thing he commented on the other day was, I have a Harley that I haven't gotten out at all this year. I have not started it one time in the year 2019. That's pitiful.
Yeah.
We should.
I didn't think you did it the year before.
Yeah, I did a couple times. Remember I took the neighbor kid for a ride up and down the road a couple times? When all the cute mamas were over there. It was for the kid. Alright, next thing to do here is figure out the brake lines. And I got these residual pressure valves. The 2-pound one is for the disc brakes. The 10-pound one is for the drums on the rear. I'm going to have to plumb that in. And I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to route all this stuff. And I think I need some adapters to go from 8th pipe thread to this 3/16 brake line here. So let me hunt around and gather up all my stuff and all that and so on. Alright, I got down my little toolbox that has stuff in it. That's kind of funny, ain't it? I got lots of stuff. Anyways. Alright, I got down my little toolbox that's got a bunch of stuff in it. Like that one over there. Anyways, a bunch of fittings, brass stuff, and brake line stuff. And I found this, which I removed from the 66 before I did the disc brake conversion. So I'm going to utilize that in addition to my residual pressure valves on the truck. And what I have done is, I have not cleaned up my mess from the last project. That's what I haven't done. I made a place right there for the proportioning valve to fit. And also have determined what I've already determined before but forgot it, is back in there is the rudimentary rear anti-lock brake system. And I think I'm going to eliminate that because I don't know if I'm smart enough to wire up all that business anyways. And with the proportion valve, we should be just fine. And besides that, up until the 90s, trucks didn't have that stuff anyways. And folks lived through it. Also seems like whenever I drove this truck, for real, back in the day, for work, the only time I noticed that they even worked is when I was in the mud and it made the brakes not work, as I recall. It made the rear not work and the front slide. It was highly aggravating. So my thought was, I'm smarter than what the truck's trying to do. So, at least I was then, maybe not now, but anyway, that's my theory. Think what you will.
It's got hot outside.
Do what?
I said it's nice and cool in here. It's gotten really hot outside.
I bet it has. You just been walking around out there, ain't you?
Yep.
You gotta admit, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah. You're a funny guy.
I know it. Not. Yeah. Alright, so we've got the proportion valve hooked up. I've got the rear line hooked to it. I haven't tightened these bolts, that's why it's loose. On the outside. Now I gotta run the line from here through here. I'm going to be able to use the line that came off the proportion valve and hook that to my residual pressure valve and go back that way. And the little man just come out, well, young man, excuse me. Young man just came out and gave me a hug before he took off. He said as long as nobody was watching. So that kind of brightened my afternoon. You know, nobody was watching. I ain't gonna tell nobody. You don't. Alright. That's what we're kind of looking like right there. I even put it so it says Willwood up. That ain't gonna work out that good for reading it when the cab's on though, is it? That's okay. That's okay. No need to brag. I will make this comment. That is a Willwood proportion valve. And that's a Willwood residual pressure valve. And so is that one. I have used some off-brand proportion valve before, and something happened inside it, and can't remember exactly what the trouble was, but it seemed like it wouldn't let the rear brakes work, no matter where you turned it. So anyway, your brakes, probably need to buy the good stuff. Don't need to go to the eBay where the English is real bad, and they say your braking is very good, that kind of stuff. Those guys are across the ocean. They don't care if you stop or not. Alright, I just made my first flare of the day, and what do you know? I forgot the nut. It's okay this time because I can feed it on that side, go around the coil. Next time, I'm going to be in a bind, so don't let me forget. Alright, that's successfully removed. That's the anti-lock brake ding-dinger. That's the technical term. And I got the brake line run. I even put the cute little loop in it here. And got it rigged up. Now I just need to tighten everything up, and the rear line is done. Now I just got to sort out the front. You know, I could be accused of being a hoarder, and have been. But let me tell you something. The front brakes require a 3/16 line, and that is a 3/16 tubing nut. Let me show you something over here. As folks know who mess with these old cars, quite often they have a larger nut that goes in the master cylinder. So whenever I run across one on a factory application that has decent nuts and stuff, I always save them, because right there's the one I need. 3/16 line, whatever thread that is there, I think 7/16 thread. Anyway, that goes in the master. I just gotta get that old piece of brake line out, which shouldn't be much trouble. And all I did was took a 3/16 drill bit, stuck the nut in the vise, and drilled it out. No problem. I think I just heard Mama fire up the lawnmower. I bought her a new lawnmower and sold my old one. You remember the Simplicity with a hot rod muffler? I sold it. I'm not messing with lawnmowers. That's not my business. The heck with lawnmowers. Anyways, I got distracted. Alright, now I've got the Willwood residual pressure valve in for the front. I just need to figure out how I'm going to run my brake line and do that. I hope she don't chop down no trees with this one. That's what she used to do with the other one, which contributed to its early demise, I think. Can't mess with the big dog.
No.
That thing's a pretty nice mower, but it's scary on a slope. Don't put it on a slope. Okay, let me get back to my brakes here. I done told y'all I ain't worried about lawnmowers. You know, you should never really stop for 3 years on a project, especially one that's got them many wires. I was standing here looking, thinking, oh my gosh, look at all this wiring I gotta do. And then I said, hey, there's the lines from the Hydro Boost. That stuff might come in handy. I might just use this to mock it up and buy some new ones though, because it'd be bad news Bad news if we had trouble when I get done. What's that you say, girl?
Why is the brake thing there and not up there?
That's the same thing somebody on YouTube asked. It's because I put it there.
But like, isn't this gonna be the cab?
Like it's gonna be under the floor. So it's not like up on the firewall. See, in 1946 it would have like been on the floor.
That's like cool.
It's like cooler, yeah. You can't have a 40s with a master cylinder hanging off the firewall if you're gonna be as cool as me. Or you. We can't show her, she's gotten ugly as the years passed. Alright, she's gone almost as fast as she came. But that's what happens when you're, you know, driving and all that stuff. It's okay. It's okay. She did distract me though. What was my train of thought? Oh yeah, I'm working on the brake line for the front. See there, I got my little coils in it. And I got some little pieces of, hey, let's turn the light on so you can see what I'm talking about. Little pieces of rubber hose there, zip tied so it won't rub and bounce. And now I gotta get it through the hole in the frame there and tie it in here correctly and aesthetically. And then I should be done with the plumbing for the brakes anyways. I'll need to bleed it and all that, but I can't do it by my lonesomes. And I'm by my lonesomes at the moment. Alright. I'm going to stick a piece of old fuel line through there so it won't rub, but I think I'm also going to salvage that spring. One of the benefits of living here in the south is stuff ain't as rusty as it is up north, so that spring is usable. I think I'm going to slide it on that brake line right there. It might lend a bit of a factory look to things. What do you think? I think it's a good idea. I'm going to take that off now and do that. Here I was talking about the rust-free South, and that nut ain't wanting to come out. So rather than booger it up with a wrench, even though I have a good quality line wrench, these flare nuts are always real soft. I'm going to cut off. We're going to cut the brake line right there and stick a socket on it, a 6-point socket. Be more apt to have better luck. Sometimes you want to tip the scales in your favor as much as possible, you know. Okay. That worked very nicely. Broke it right loose, and then I slipped my spring on the line. Now I need to flare that, not forgetting the nut, hopefully. And then we should be able to put this together. And I'll be able to call the plumbing on the brakes complete. And I just might, you know, being it's 5, 6 o'clock and all, just might call her a day. Because I got to get up and go to work in the morning. The scourge of the middle class, as old Paul Milky used to say. Alright, I got everything hitched up. I don't know if that's as aesthetically pleasing as I like right there. I'm going to work on that in a little bit. But I got everything hooked up. All I need now is some brake fluid and somebody hit me bleed the brakes. But the next order of business is to figure out the lines for the Hydro Boost. Get that working. Once I get that done, I bought the seal kit for the turbo, the pedestal. And I'd like to change the compressor wheel too. Get a little more horsepower. I was watching that PowerstrokeHelp.com channel. He uses a Banks impeller, which you can buy for like 80 bucks, but that's 99 to 03. I don't know that it will fit this turbo. And then another place sells a compressor wheel, costs a lot more money, that fits 94 to 03. So I'm not too sure about that. I gotta do some more research. I'm going to put new valve cover gaskets on it, glow plugs, that sort of thing. Because I do not want to have to take this motor apart once the cab's on it. This motor ran good, other than it ran kind of rough at idle when it was cold. But it had sat a long time. When I drove it home, when I bought it, it ran great. So, and it didn't leak any oil. So I think this motor is a good one. It's 196,000 miles. Just getting broke in. We've got one at work. It's a little bit newer. 350,000 miles. Still runs like a new one. Alright, I'm going to quit for the day, but I couldn't help but bring these power steering lines over and contemplate the Hydro Boost. I believe that side is the main line coming from the power steering pump. So I'm going to have to reconfigure that a little bit. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. And then, as it comes back out of the Hydro Boost, it runs back up and goes to the steering box. Somebody told me once they didn't think the Ford had enough pressure to run the Hydro Boost, but I don't know. If that's the case, I guess I'll have to fix it somehow. And then the return comes out of right here, and I'll have to route that up into here. And I think the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to utilize the steel lines from here. And at least when I used to work at Napa, 25 years ago or more, I could make hydraulic hoses 3/8 with compression fittings that would fit a 3/8 tube. So I think what I'm going to do is explore that possibility a little bit. I'm sure somebody can do it. And there's several hose places around. And do it that way. Because there ain't going to be no factory line here usable. So I'll be able to do that, come out of there, get them aimed in the right direction, run it up through the frame, and get it hooked back up in here again. And of course the return does not need to be pressure, so that could be 3/8 steel line with a couple rubber pieces on the ends. I'm going to have to tee into that line right there. Of course, it goes through the cooler there. Might want to tee into the return line off the pump, off the gearbox, so it'd go through the cooler. Anyways, plenty of time to figure out all that stuff. Little man, after I pointed out the useless air cleaner, said, "Why is it on there? It's useless." Well, that's a good point. But, you know, you could put some tools or something in there. Anyways, that's it for today. I'm going to ring the bell myself. And go in the house and get cleaned up. I think the wife's in there, done cutting the grass. She might like me good enough to give me something cold to drink. You just don't know. But I'm going to go find out. And maybe you should too. Don't forget to go to MrHevyshevy.com where you can buy stickers, t-shirts, short shorts, muscle shirts, sweatshirts. And I haven't listed those because I don't think anybody can peel them off. I'm going to take them somewhere else where they can print the sticker and it'll be more like the ones like this, and then I'll sell them. Several people have said they would like one, so might be cool. Might be a thing. I noticed there's another guy on Instagram selling stickers that say, "You know the deal." Stapleton 42. He's got a super fast Cadillac Escalade, unreal fast, like 9 something and a quarter mile, 137 miles an hour. That's fast. Escalades are heavy. And he sells stickers that say, "You know the deal." Well, I wish I knew the deal, because my stuff's slow.